Election night is less than a month away, and we're digging into some key races that could determine the balance of power in Congress. Lisa Desjardins has more.
Let's talk about control of the House of Representatives. To take over the House, Republicans need to gain just 5 total seats next month net. Their party may have a slight advantage from redistricting, but there are dozens of competitive races, including more than 30 currently rated as toss-ups. To take a good look at the map, I'm joined by 3 public media reporters: Karen Kassler of Ohio Public Radio and Television, Scott Schaefer with KQED in California, and Zoe Clark with Michigan Radio. So happy to have all of you together to talk about this. Each of your states has lost a congressional district because of redistricting, but you also each have a clutch of competitive races that could determine control of the House. I wonder if you can just set the mood for us. What's on voters' minds, everything from the weather to redistricting to issues that you think might be affecting their vote. And let's start out west with you, Scott Schaefer.
Yeah, well, California has an unusual system for creating redistricting. It's a citizens commission. It's not gerrymandering where the districts are designed to protect the incumbents. And so we have 4 to 6 competitive House races here in California, including probably 2 of the 10 most vulnerable Republicans, David Valadao in the Central Valley and Mike Garcia in Los Angeles, both of them running in plus D districts where Democrats outnumber Republicans. In terms of, the seat that we lost, Karen Bass decided not to run for re-election. She's the LA Congresswoman. She's now running for mayor of Los Angeles, which of course is dominating the headlines, not in very good ways. But in terms of issues, in terms of these congressional races, it's a competing narrative. Republicans want to talk about gas prices and the economy, and the Democrats want to talk about abortion rights and about threats to democracy. And so you've got these competing narratives that are playing out on the campaign trail and on television. And in addition, I would say that Republicans also want to talk about crime and immigration, much more so than abortion rights.
Zoe Clark, what's going on in Michigan? I know it's college football season. Is politics breaking through there in general?
It actually is, if you can imagine. It's not just Spartans and Wolverines here in Michigan, although the weather always is something we talk about. No, much like what Scott said, indeed, it is about the economy. It is about inflation. It is about gas prices. But since the Dobbs decision here in Michigan, abortion really has become something that has changed the dynamic. We have an amendment that's going to be on the ballot in November that would enshrine reproductive rights, abortion rights into the state constitution. And so on top of these really must-watch congressional seats, some of the most competitive in the country, abortion is sort of overshadowing the conversation when it comes to all of these races.
Karen Kassler, is that what you're finding next door in Ohio? Is abortion overshadowing other issues?
Well, I can't let Zoe talk about those teams without mentioning the Ohio State Buckeyes, and football here is, of course, dominating conversation. But yes, there's a lot of conversation also about the few competitive districts here. Our most competitive seat and race really is the Ohio U.S. Senate race. But in Ohio, we're starting early voting today. And it's interesting to note that Ohio went from 16 to 15 districts, and majority Republicans drew maps that were ruled unconstitutional several times by the Ohio Supreme Court. We're actually running elections this year on maps that were ruled unconstitutional but put into place by a federal court. And so while we're electing representatives through these maps this time around, those could change based on the results of what happens in the election next month. So there are 10 safe districts and 5 Democratic seats, but only a couple are really considered very competitive.
Yeah, Karen, I want to come back to you. I'm going to talk to all of you about favorite races, but Karen, let's start there in Ohio. And your favorite races, one that I'm watching there, obviously, is one of the longest-serving women in Congress, Marcy Kaptur. That's a race where it's not just issues, but also the effect, perhaps, of President Trump and the 2020 election. Can you talk about that race and what you're watching there in that Toledo area?
Yeah, that race has really tightened up a lot. Marcy Kaptur running against a political newcomer, J.R. Majewski, who really broke out when he got the attention of Donald Trump by painting a picture of Trump on his lawn. And Trump shouted out to him at a rally. He ended up winning, beating some other established politicians. And now he and Marcy Kaptur are facing off. Majewski has made headlines recently because he has claimed that he saw combat in Afghanistan man, but an investigation has shown that that's not the case. He also has said he was at the Capitol on January 6th. He has not been charged with anything, but all of this has made this race a little bit more competitive, and House Republicans have actually pulled their ads in this race, so that really has tightened things up. Also, there's an open seat that features two women, Emilia Sykes, the former Democratic leader of the Ohio House, and Madison Jessiotto Gilbert, a Trump-endorsed Republican. This will make history in that one of those will win, and only 12 Ohio women have ever been elected to Congress from the state, so that's going to make history there with that race.
That's fascinating. I like that Ohio 13 race, too, because that's a very Rust Belt seat that might tell us something about the Senate race as it evolves over the night. Speaking of, let's go back to you in Michigan then, Zoe. You have one of the most expensive House races in the country, among others that I know you're watching, where Elissa Slotkin, the incumbent Democrat, is really kind of a must-win seat for Democrats if they have any hope of holding the House.
Absolutely. And this district is fascinating. So it went for Donald Trump in 2016. It went for Trump in 2020. But Elissa Slotkin has won it 2 times. So she's looking for a third win here. Now, it's going to be in the now 7th congressional district because of redistricting. And she's always outperformed as a Democrat. But she has a conservative Republican challenger, State Senator Tom Barrett. Again, like we've been talking about this narrative, he's trying to talk about the economy. He's trying to talk about inflation. He's trying to talk about Joe Biden. And I was just talking to Elissa Slotkin, the Congresswoman, today, and she's talking fundamentally about rights and what she wants to see happen change in D.C., including, interestingly enough, I thought immigration, she said, in the state of Michigan, as well as the cost of child care. Meanwhile, we also have the 3rd congressional district. Now, this one is just fascinating. This is where Peter Meijer, a freshman Republican, within the first few days of being sworn in, voted to impeach Donald Trump for the 2nd time. And Peter Meijer lost his primary in August to a former Trump official, John Gibbs. And so this really is an open seat now. We have a Democrat running. It looks like it could lean Democrat more because of, again, this redistricting, but it probably would have been closer had Peter Meijer won this seat. But again, conservative Republicans kicked him out, booted him out, and went with this Trump-endorsed Republican instead. And it looks like this could be a Democratic win.
Scott, you hear Zoe talking about a place that Democrats hope to flip in this year. I know you've got one of those, too, and you just mentioned it earlier. Tell us about Congressman David Valadao and what you're seeing in California.
Yeah, so he lost this seat in 2018 and then got it back in 2020. So he actually voted to impeach Donald Trump, but he's getting protection from that. Trump hasn't gone after him because his district is right next to Kevin McCarthy. In fact, it includes part of Bakersfield, his hometown. So he's running against Rudy Salas in a district that is 59% Latino. Rudy Salas would be the first Latino member of Congress from the Central Valley ever. He's also co-sponsored our Proposition 1, which would enshrine abortion rights here in California. One other quickly, Lisa, race I'm looking at, the 41st Congressional District in Riverside. Ken Calvert, 30-year Republican incumbent, has easily gotten reelected, but redistricting has taken out some of the most conservative parts of his district and added Palm Springs and other districts with a lot of LGBT voters. He has a history of anti-gay positions and campaigning, and he's running against an openly gay federal prosecutor who prosecuted some of the January 6th cases. And of course, Calvert did not vote to certify the election. So lots of interesting cross currents there.
I've been hearing from you all about the 2020 election, some about former President Trump. I just want a show of hands on this last question, which might be a little unusual, but have you spoken to any Democrats in tough races in your states who would like President Biden to come and campaign for them? I want to see a hand if anyone has talked to a Democrat like that. So there we go. Both the former president and the current president seem to be on the ballot this year in the 2022 midterms. We are so grateful to all of you for joining us. Karen Kassler, Scott Schaefer, Zoe Clark. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great to be here.